listening to the Patriot Nation podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you go and download and subscribe to all of those great shows to get great Patriots content all week long. But tonight, it's the Patriot Nation podcast with me, Pat Lane, and my guy, Matt St. Jean. We're together for a duo podcast. Feels like it's been a while for that. But Matt, here we are. And Marcus Jones is the greatest punt returner in the history of the NFL. Pretty sweet.
It's he's unbelievable. One of the first things I texted Pat after the game was how incredible was it to watch Marcus Jones return that punt into your end zone.
Oh, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. And so what's funny is that it's actually interesting. Someone posted his 6 career touchdowns, and 3 of them were in 2022 and 3 of them have been this year. And you have 1 offensive touchdown, 2 pick sixes, and 3 punt return touchdowns. It's wild to see, to see him. And he's just, I said to Matt, he caught the punt. And as soon as he caught the punt, in my seats, I was like, uh-oh. I knew. We all knew watching it. He's gone. No one's going to touch him. It was wide open. They far outkicked the coverage. And he's just too fast, man. He's too fast. And, the punter tried to get him down. Almost did. But he did not. So it's incredible. And, to put it in perspective, now his average is 14.6. Okay. His punt return average is 14.6. Maybe the best punt returner I've ever seen in my entire life is Devin Hester. And maybe Dante Hall, I think, is up there because Dante Hall was just so shifty. It's crazy. Hester's punt return average for his career is at 11.2. He's 3.5 yards higher than Devin Hester. It's insane. Now, he's only at, 77? So he has less. But still, that's absolutely ridiculous that he has that many. That 14.6 is outrageous.
He's been so good. I do think there was one point where Edelman may have held the record too for average, because he had one season, 2012 maybe, where I think his average was 15 yards a return, something nuts like that. And I think Edelman held it, and then as he went on and got a little bit older, and it ended up dropping a little bit. So, that'll be how long can Marcus Jones do this? But the fact that he's up there at all, the fact that he has this many touchdowns, he's been unbelievable for you. So
number 2 I'm just looking at the list right now. Number 2 on the list, okay, is George McAfee, who, if you're wondering who George McAfee was, he was born in 1918. Played 8 seasons for the Bears, was a running back for the Bears, had 112 punt returns. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1966. Just give you an idea of when he played. He's second on the list, tied with Jack Christensen. Much older, born in 1920. Much younger. I'm sorry, born in 1928.
We got a youngin on our hands here.
Never recorded a tackle. Selected to 5 Pro Bowls and won 3 championships. He's in the Hall of Fame in 1970. But those 2 are tied for second all-time. Their career average is 12.8.
Yeah.
And Marcus is 14.6. So he's almost 2 full yards ahead of number 2 on the list, which is completely insane. And so, Hester's 9. It's I don't even see
Desmond Howard.
22. Yeah.
Desmond Howard's at 7 with 11.9. Interestingly, we've got a couple former Patriot slot receivers on here. Gunnar Olszewski is tied for 16th. Braxton Berrios tied for 18th. Julian Edelman at 22nd. All those guys are a tenth of a yard apart from each other.
And that's like, it's just crazy to think about, right? It's crazy to think about. And, the amount of, I don't know, 14.6 is outlandish. It's not, it feels like it's not even possible. 15 yards of punt return. It's ridiculous, And again, he has 3 punt returns for touchdowns. That means on average, every 25 punt returns he gets, he's taking one of them back for the house. It's just like, it's insane. And so that's the stuff where you really start to look at it and say, like, oh my God, this is not normal what's happening, right? And I went back to 2022. I mean, anyone that listens to the show knows how much I love Marcus Jones, right? There he is, right there, right? And and he was my guy coming out of the draft, and they drafted him, and so on and so forth, right? And all these things. But in 2022, he did something that only one player in NFL history has done in their career, and he did it his rookie year. Okay, and that is have a punt return for a touchdown, have score a special teams touchdown, score an offensive touchdown, and score a defensive touchdown. He did it all in 2022 as a rookie. The only other guy to ever do that in their career is Deion Sanders. So the fact that he was doing that in 2022 and it's still going, right? He's still doing this year is insane.
Oh, can I just read off some names down this list, by the way?
Yes.
There's some good ones. My favorite has to be Vitamin Smith. His real name is Verda Thomas Smith Jr., but they called him Vitamin.
Where did the good names go? Come on, where did the
Speedy Duncan, Leslie Herbert Duncan's his full name, but Speedy.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let's see. Oh, Stanley Morgan's on this list. Oh, Stanley Morgan, Mike Haynes, and Troy Brown all tied, and Deion Sanders and Dexter McCluster.
What's that number that they're all tied at?
10.4 yards per return.
10.4. So when you start thinking about it and you start looking at it and saying, oh my goodness, like this is, you're talking about some of the best players ever. When you look at that list and you're like, oh my God, like he's that much higher than everyone. Dante Hall, who by the way, I think might be the best ever, is 10.5 is his career average. And so it's, it's not the fact that he's a problem every time. It's not the fact that he can take it to the house anytime, because he can. It's the fact that not only does he take it to the house every time, but he also gets yardage every single time. And that's what's more impressive than anything else, really, is that he's not dancing around breaking 7 tackles, doing it on his own. He's just like, nope, I'm going to return it. I'm going to pick up 10 or 15 yards every time. And then sometimes I'll break one, and it's unbelievable. And they kept punting to him. They kept doing it.
Egregious. I don't understand.
What are you doing? He had another 20-yard return. And then I'm like, okay, the third one, they definitely can't punt him. And they punted to him again. And he had another 10-yard return. I was just like, what are you doing?
It was like the Carolina game all over again in that regard.
Yeah.
This Marcus Jones season, by the way, he's averaging 18.8 yards per return just this season. So
obviously it helps that he has 2 touchdowns, right? But still.
Yeah. In terms of single season records, that would be tied for the 8th best season of all time, but it would also be tied for the best season since the merger. He'd be tied with Lamar Parrish, who did it with the Bengals in 1974. Everything above them, and they're all 19 yards per return or better, was pre-merger. You've got Jack Christensen on there, Dick Christie, Red Cochran, Jerry Davis, Frankie Sinkwich, Billy Grimes.
Yes. Oh, those are the names. Those are the names. You hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that guy played in the 40s and 50s. It's great.
Yeah, and it's teams 40s, 50s, some 60s. Guys played for we got 2 actually back-to-back seasons for the Chicago Cardinals on here.
Love it. Love it.
But if we're just looking at since the merger, so he'd be tied with Lamar Parrish. At 18.7 yards per return is Leotis McKelvin for the Bills in 2012. And then since the merger, do you know who has the next best season ever? Gunnar Olszewski, 2020 in New England.
Gunnar, when he was an All-Pro that year, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe. And then
Yeah.
Devin Hester in 2010 with 17.1 yards per punt return.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean there are some very good players up there. I wonder where Edelman's best season ranks in here. Okay, tied for 44th was his 2010 season, 15.3 yards per return.
Okay.
Marcus Jones last year tied for the 61st best season of all time with 14.8 yards per
Yeah.
return.
And
So
that's
he's
the
already
stuff. Like that's where, but again, to me, that's where he's so different than all these other guys, is that he is doing it so consistently. And it's not, oh, he goes for -3 or he goes for 1 this time. It's like he's picking up 10, 12 yards a return. And again, obviously he's getting tackled on some of them, clearly, right? But like for the most part, he's picking up positive yards on every single return, and and giving you something. And again, that obviously helps that you have a good punt return unit. You got to have a good unit and good blocking as well. He's not doing it on his own. Although that Carolina, when he broke like 3 tackles at the catch point, and if you watch the clip of that, he's getting tackled, and the commentator's like, "Oh, I guess there was no fair catch." Like the guy's on top of him, and he's just feeling it like, I'm fine. It's wild. He's a lunatic.
This stat doesn't include fair catches, right? Those don't count towards your
No.
average, which I think that is kind of like the hidden yardage here too. One of the reasons his average is so high is because he makes smart decisions as a returner.
Yes.
He's not someone who's like having a bunch of these 3-yard returns because he's trying to make big plays in traffic where he can't make them.
Right.
It's funny. There was actually a return I thought Monday night that he probably could have returned if he wanted to, that he didn't.
Yeah, that he fair caught. Yeah, I think the ball was just so high that he's not even looking. He just said, "No, I'm just going to fair catch it." Which.
Yeah.
But what's crazy?
He's a good decision maker with it.
Yeah. What's crazy about his season is that right now he's playing well enough that he's all-pro consideration for a returner. And he's also all-pro consideration as a slot corner. He's been phenomenal playing corner.
Yeah, he's been very good.
So, it's just what he's doing this year is incredible. And again, I am the largest Marcus Jones fan you'll find in New England. Like, I love the guy. I've loved him since January of 2022, months before they drafted him. But, the thing is that not even I expected this out of him. Like, he's playing like a true all-pro slot corner. He's coming up on the run. He's making great plays in the secondary. He's where he needs to be all the time. He's got a sack on as well. Like, he's doing everything. And then you throw the punt return stuff on top of it, and you're just like, it's ridiculous that he's doing this still. And so, it's really kind of unfair. And goalie actually says it too. He fails to a fault, which is true. Like, he fails to a fault at times. He doesn't like the fair catch. So, but he is smart. And you're right about it, Matt, is that he is smart about that, not trying to do too much,
Yeah, I think he finds a good balance there. It's one of the reasons why he's been, such a good player for them. And defensively, I think he has a tendency to be a little bit boom bust, as all corners are.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the perfect player on defense, but he is a playmaker, and I think he has a nice nose for the football. Is 3 picks this season? And
I think it's 3, yeah.
Able to return one for a touchdown in there.
Yep.
And, some really nice tackles for a loss. He'll hit guys hard despite his size. He's a winning football player in a lot of ways, and someone who's just very fun to watch as well.
Yeah. No, and that's really what it comes down to, for me at least, with him, is that like he's fun to watch. He's a good player. He's just a good football player. And, there were a lot of questions with him coming out. Like, there's a lot of questions with him coming out because of his size. And I don't necessarily blame people for questioning that. He's 5'8", 180 pounds. Like, he's a small guy. But, he's proven those people wrong. And, he's played in every game this year so far. right? And you just kind of you say, all right, well, he's done a really good job. I mean, listen, he has a sack, he has 50 tackles, 6 TFLs, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. All right, and the fumble recovery actually might have been his own fumble. I think they counted. I'm pretty sure he muffed a punt, and so they counted it as like a fumble and a fumble recovery. So, but either way, 3 interceptions, one of them was a pick six, 50 tackles, a sack, and 6 TFLs as your core. Like, that's the type of stuff where it's like, okay, now you're talking about a guy that has the potential to be a Pro Bowl player or an All Pro player. I'm sorry, from that spot. So.
See, what's funny is that Marcus Jones also he is actually not first this year in yards per return.
Who is?
DK.
It's got to be DK, right? Yeah, he's having an incredible year.
He's averaging 21.2 yards per return. And I think for All Pro for this, there's going to be 2 players, right? First team, second team.
Yeah, so DK might be first team, which is wild.
The guy I feel bad for is Parker Washington in this, he's one of 3 players this year who has 2 touchdowns. And because he's only returning for 17 yards per punt return, and his long is only 87 yards.
Yeah.
He's going to end up behind Marcus Jones with a 94-yard return and an 18.8 average, and Shamir DK with a 90-yard punt return and a 21.2 average.
When I believe DK right now is on pace to break Darren Sproles' record for all-purpose yards in a season. Because he's
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
He's a punt returner. I believe he's also their kick returner.
Yes, he has 1,900 all-purpose yards this year.
Yeah, so he's on pace I believe the record's like 2,700 or something like that. He's on pace to break that record.
He leads the league in punt return yards and kick return yards.
Yeah.
He's done a little bit as a receiver as well.
I was going to say, he doesn't have a ton of receiving yards, but he's got some receiving yards. And that,
as we know from that Patriots-Titans game.
Yes, as we do. By the way, Nikhil mentions Marcus Jones was locking up T. Higgins, which he's right about that. So, that's a good question. I'd like to see this. Maybe they'll do this in practice someday. Marcus versus Travion Henderson in a foot race.
I'm sure if you go to Next Gen Stats, you can see some top speeds for those 2 guys.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
How they compare.
Yeah.
Speaking of top speeds, Pat, do you know what I have not been able to stop watching since Monday? Is Christian Ellis running at top speed into Jackson Dart.
So
I think Next Gen had him at over 18 miles per hour on that one. They linebacker like that.
Oh, it's so good. It's Christian Ellis, by the way. We kind of talked about this off air a little bit. Christian Ellis he was incredible. He was absolutely incredible on Monday night. Absolutely unbelievable. He came out. So the Patriots got the ball first, drive down and kick a field goal. He gets the tackle on the kick return. Then Marcus returns the punt for a touchdown. He gets the tackle on the kick return. Then the Patriots kick off again. He doesn't get the tackle on the kick return, but he has the bone-jarring hit on Jackson Dart, which, by the way, 100% legal play. I don't care what anybody says. Jackson Dart is the one playing around. He's playing games on the sideline. He's the one playing games on the sideline. He, as a matter of fact, if you guys remember, I don't know if you've seen the clip or not, and I forget who they were playing, but Dart was running out of bounds, and as he was running out of bounds, jumped at a guy's head, helmet first. So he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, right? Yeah. It's not like, you got to protect the quarterback. And by the way, to Jackson Dart's credit, he said it. He's like, we're not probably playing soccer. Like, you're going to get hit, And
he bounced right back up after that, which we thought this is why they wear the shoulder pads. And on a shoulder-to-shoulder hit like that, like, obviously, you're going to feel that. That's going to hurt. But that's also a hit where, like, if the energy is going to transfer through nicely and you're going to go flying, you're going to land, and then you're good. And what I will say here, I will say this on the flip side of things for that hit. Dumb of Theo Johnson to get the 15-yard penalty, but I think as a coach, you have to love your tight end willing to just
Yeah.
get into it. And it's like, we're not waiting to see if this is a flag. I just watched our guy get decked and I'm going to stand up for him,
I agree
especially in
with
an
you.
environment like that. Like I liked Theo Johnson in that draft class. And I came out of this game thinking, this is a guy that I bet Mike Vrabel would like having on his team.
Oh yeah, he's a good player. He dropped a touchdown pass, and he was pissed at himself after he dropped a touchdown pass. But he's a good player. He's been solid for them this year.
Yeah.
As Brandon Aubrey just hits a 63-yard field goal, like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But I think I was watching a clip from the Mannings from the Manning cast, and Eli was saying, of course, Eli's so funny, but Eli was saying, he's like, he lied to me. He told me he was going to slide today, and he lied to me. But Peyton said it. Peyton goes, I love sticking up for the quarterback. That's not a penalty, but I love sticking up for the quarterback. Go ahead and stick up for your guy because that's your guy, but he's got to be smarter about that, right?
Well, I think you just have to stand up for him and also tone it down just a little bit from where you did stand up for him, so you don't get the penalty for it.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, because the way to do it. I mean, look, the same thing happened on the Harold Landry one, and I thought the Harold Landry one was 100% clean. Right, Dart went down, and he went up to tackle him, and he got nothing because Dart was sliding. Right, and it was one of those situations where Landry wasn't trying to kill him; he was going to wrap him up, and then Dart was gone, and so he got his helmet because he was going down as he did it. Right, but it wasn't. It wasn't those. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily anything malicious, but there was some pushing and shoving afterwards. Because hey, watch out for our quarterback's head, but you can do that without getting a penalty.
Can I offer what might be a controversial take here? I don't know.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
This is I think a lot of people have laid into Jackson Dart for his decision making and his recklessness. I don't necessarily mind it in that situation. Obviously, it's going to look bad because this is your 7th play from scrimmage of the game, and you just came back from 2 concussions, and everyone's going to freak out because it's a big hit. But you're on the road. I think you're already down 10-0 at that point. You're heavy underdogs, and this is the 6th play of it. So it's setting up to set up a 3rd down. Right. The difference between 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 4, if you step out of bounds early, I think is somewhat significant because 3rd and 1, you can line up the fullback and have a bad run and still pick up the 1st down. 3rd and 4, you probably have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And you don't want your quarterback to be taking big hits all the time. But if your quarterback is someone who has the athleticism to take hits, you pick your spots.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not a bad spot to pick to take a hit. Especially because the hit's clean, he's completely fine, there's no injuries. I get why people freak out about it, but I don't know. I don't hate going for the extra yardage there.
Well, and I'm kind of with you just in the fact that I think you show not that he has to prove anything to anyone on the team, right? But you kind of show hey guys, I'm just a player like you guys. I'm out here playing, right? And I like that about Jackson Dart. He has to take care of himself because he's going to get himself killed, right? Yeah. But I do like his willingness to do that. I think him and Scatterbo are very similar. And actually, who said that? Nikhil said that. They're very similar. They're going to take too many hits. I don't know how long Scatterbo is going to last in the NFL because he just takes so many hits. And Jackson Dart's the same way. It's you just don't need to take those extra hits. You're going to get hit a ton. You don't need to take extra hits like that. You know what I mean? And especially when you're the quarterback, we can't sub you out for a play, right? If you're a running back, we can take you out and put someone else in. You're the quarterback. You're staying in. You're in on every single play. And so, you have to do a better job taking care of yourself. But again, I also understand it from the perspective of I'm going to do everything it takes to win. And if that means I got to get smashed because we want it to be 3rd and 1 instead of 3rd and 6, then so be it. And I'm just a player on the team just like everyone else. And so I don't necessarily hate that mindset, but it's moving forward when we're trying to be competitive, when we're the Giants and we're trying to be a good team, the quarterback's got to be smarter about things,
Well, it felt like he did really only take 2 hits during the game. And one
Sure.
of them was on the first drive where he's sliding, trying to get down after scrambling, and
Right.
just slides a little bit too late. But the instincts are there. That's what you want to see from him.
Yes.
That situation, especially you're in the pocket, you're scrambling and nothing is there, you're taking a loss no matter what. Just get down and don't take a hit.
Right.
Versus fighting for extra yardage on a critical down and distance like that. And I wonder, obviously the way we read into things is in the context of everything else that happens. And there's like the butterfly effect here. Like what happens if Theo Johnson doesn't get a flag or his retaliation and it is 3rd and 1 and the Giants do pick it up and maybe they go down and score in that drive? Like maybe for the Giants, that does end up being a catalyst of, oh, well, he got us into a 3rd and 1. We rallied around him. We pick up a first down. And there were points in that game where they made it more interesting than I think the Patriots were expecting. Not that it ever really felt close, but you're a kicker hitting the ground away from this being a 1-score game at one point in the first half. Like,
it's very true.
Yeah. So
it's very true. And we said that leading up to the game, or at least I said that leading up to the game. Like when you look at this team, the Giants, meaning they play teams hard. They don't quit. They play hard. And, a team like that is tough to play, and so, yeah, you might lose, but you go hard. And I think that that's one of those things where, again, where I see that. And by the way, Nikhil said, that he reminds him of May last year. And I think it's not a terrible comp. I think he doesn't throw the ball as well as May did. But just as far as his mentality is concerned, the fact that he's on a bad team right now and that he is willing to kind of fight and give up his body at times, which May did that a lot last year. And it was one of those things where everyone was like, you gotta not do that anymore because you're the franchise quarterback, right? And so you kind of beat that out of him a little bit, and you hope that happens with Dart and he can figure things out because he seems like a good player.
I will say, if we want to make a comparison here for Dart, just in terms of like play style and attitude, I think you could draw a comparison to like rookie year Carson Wentz. It's like a guy who's like makes a lot of big plays in big situations and who's a little bit reckless and doesn't really know how to tone things down. And that was something that ended up hurting Wentz. Obviously, he gets concussed in that playoff game and really has not been the same player since. But like he was the guy who put his body on the line, and that helped the Eagles win a Super Bowl that first year because the rest of that roster was also so good. And then also he kind of just became like a guy who is highly inconsistent. And I wonder if that's, what Dart
will be
ends up being here. And like, I think he's a guy who can have top 10 seasons, has that caliber in him. It's just a question of like, how many can he put together with his talent? Like is he a guy like Tua who can have a top 10 season if you put him in the right situation, or can he have a top 10 season of his own volition? And then the health factor, that's also going to be big. Even like schematically, when it comes to similarity, like I think there's a little Jalen Hurts in there. We got 2 different Eagles quarterbacks being comped to the man in New York right now, which I'm sure everyone involved in that loves.
I know. Yeah.
But he's such a talented runner. And I think for Dart's future in the league, we're doing a lot more Jackson Dart than I anticipated. But
I know
he's such a good runner that I feel like he's someone who'll be an asset in the red zone. Like he's a good runner, extends plays well. You can use it. He's good with RPOs. It's like, all right, if you get into the red zone, I feel like he can help you finish drives really well. And that's like, all right, you put him in the right situation, he can lead a good offense, I think. Mm-hmm. Also, I have a Carson Wentz segue if we want to do that real quick.
Let's do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the last time the Patriots had this Week 14 bye, coming out with, a pair of tough games against top AFC opponents and some big divisional games. You go back to 2021, the Patriots come out of the bye. They're 9-4 going into it, top of the AFC East, and they lose to the Carson Wentz led. I forgot it was quarterbacking this
Indianapolis Colts.
Oof, yes, on a Saturday night
game that was.
And that was that. The Patriots came out of that bye thinking we can win the AFC East. You lose that road game in Indy. You lose at home against Buffalo. Then they blow that game to Miami. In Miami to end the season. Miami Heat did not make the playoffs. But I look at where this team is now, the comments about the schedule, and what New England has coming out of the bye with the home game against Buffalo for the division and a road game in Baltimore. And I think this is kind of an opportunity to prove some people wrong. We know this team could beat good teams, but to prove again, you can continue to beat good teams, being able to actually right the wrong of that 2021 season and like take advantage of of an easy schedule and of a win streak to win the division and make Buffalo come to you in the playoffs. This will be a big opportunity when you come out of the bye, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, what's interesting is that for the Patriots, for the 21 Patriots, at least, that was when I realized that Hightower and McCourty just didn't have it anymore. That long touchdown run by Jonathan Taylor. And they weren't late. They weren't that late. They were just a half a second late. Both McCourty and Hightower, both a half a second late. To get there, they had to over pursue just a little bit. Taylor cut it back and was gone for 80 some odd yards or something like that for the touchdown. And that was the game. And it was just like, they might only be a half step slow, but that's it. Like, it's over. And, with some of that, like, these guys are, some of the best players at their respective positions to ever play for the Patriots. And now they're kind of done, and that was sad to see, but it's one of those interesting things. And so,
with that, that was when Judon fell off a cliff after that bye as well.
Yes, that is true. That's very true.
I remember that vividly because for Christmas that year I got the gift early. I asked for the Judon jersey and a red undershirt so I could do that. I remember wearing that for the first time for that Colts game, and now I look back and I'm like, man. By the time I got that, his best time in New England was already done.
Yeah. So the other thing too that I'm thinking about, at least. And Nelson thinks, that this year's going to be different. He said they're going to be 15-2, number 1 seed, going through Foxborough. I love to see that. What I will say is that this year for the Patriots, right, they have a big lead on the Bills right now. Bills have 4 losses, yes?
Yeah.
And the Patriots have both tiebreakers over the Bills. So in order for the
head-to-head. Yeah.
Yes. So in order for the Patriots to lose the division, the Bills would have to win out, and the Patriots would have to lose 3 out of their last 4 games. That just it could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. It could happen, but it's just extremely unlikely to happen. And so, you're looking at it saying, all right, even if you lost to Buffalo and Baltimore, just worst case doomsday scenario, you lose both those games. You just have to beat the Jets and the Dolphins. And if you can't do that, then this team's not going anywhere anyways,
Well, if you beat the Jets and the Dolphins, that locks in the division record tiebreaker.
Correct. Yes, it does. Yep, because the Bills already have 2 losses in the division. So they have, well, I guess then you'd be tied for division record because they have 2 losses in the division. You only have 1. You'd only have 1 loss in the division.
You'd only have 1 in that scenario.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as you win those 2, you are going to win a tiebreaker, and you would need the Bills to, I think, as long as you win those 2 and the Bills lose any 1 game, you have the division, which puts New England in a really good position right now. Just to put a number to it, right now the Athletics playoff picture model has New England with a 92% chance of winning the division. So things would have to go pretty wrong here for New England. And obviously we know our schedule the rest of the way. The Bills' schedule, just to provide some context, home against Cincinnati this week, play in New England, they play at Cleveland, they host the Eagles, they host the Jets. So if they're able to come to New England and win, not impossible at all that the Bills do win all of those games. But they have to be on it here. They have to actually, even if they win all of those, as long as the Patriots beat the Jets and the Dolphins, they'd still win via tiebreaker anyway.
Correct.
So the Patriots are incredibly good.
So that's the thing. Even if the Bills win out, the Patriots have to lose 3 games. 3 games. And not only do they have to lose 3 games, well, I guess you'd be guaranteed that one of them would be against the Dolphins or the Jets. And realistically, as you said, you could lose both the games to the Bills and the Ravens As long as you win those Dolphins Jets games, it doesn't matter. So, so
and
anyways.
I think we for the division, that's your path. I think we want to shift here to the 1 seed conversation for a second.
Yes.
The Patriots have the 1 seed as of this very moment. They also do not control their destiny for it. Denver does.
Yes.
Denver holds the tiebreakers. Basically, that this is where that loss to Vegas, I think, really hurts you.
Yeah.
And I don't remember all the Broncos losses. They have 2. I believe
Although
one.
the Broncos loss doesn't necessarily. I mean, not that the Raiders loss doesn't hurt them, but the Raiders loss doesn't hurt them as much as it could, because the Broncos still have the conference record against you. So even if you had lost a different game against a different team, if it was an AFC team, it wouldn't matter. They'd still have the tiebreaker, you know?
Yeah. I don't remember what the final tiebreaker ends up being here. Because if New England, if the Patriots and Broncos tie at this point, I think they probably finish with the same conference record too. Both of the Broncos losses are in the AFC. Both of the Patriots losses are in the AFC. So I don't remember what the tiebreaker is after that. I think it's common opponent, and that's where I think Vegas gets you.
And that's where Vegas gets you, right?
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, because both of the losses that Denver has are against teams the Patriots don't play this year.
Okay.
And so that is definitely what it is that gets you. So that Raiders loss would be the difference maker. But we look at the schedule. So the flip side of this is that the Patriots can win just 3 out of 4 and absolutely still get the 1 seed just because of what Denver's remaining schedule looks like. They have a weird remaining schedule. So they play at Las Vegas this week. They played Las Vegas at the beginning of November. It's about a month ago. This was a Thursday night football game, if you remember correctly, that they won 10-7. And that was in Denver. So definitely not a gimme here. They host Green Bay, a team that's near the top of the NFC, and a lot of, according to, I don't know where they are in the standings right now. The NFC standings are a mess. That's a very good Green Bay team. They host Jacksonville, the team that is at this moment on top of the AFC South, and they still have to head to Kansas City, and then they host the Chargers. So unless they're able to keep up some of these heroics, odds are they probably lose at least one of those. The Athletics playoff predictor has New England getting the 1 seed just because they think the Patriots lose 1. And this, I think, was kind of my hope for this. Split the Bills and Ravens games, win your 2 division games, you're in good shape.
Right.
If you do that and the Broncos lose 2 of those games, which I think is pretty possible.
Well, and that's the thing, right? The Packers have so much to play for. The Jaguars have a ton to play for, and the Chiefs have to get in. Like, if they don't win out, they're out of the playoffs. So they have to win every game from now until the end of the season. That's a monstrous game for the Chiefs. That's, you're talking about like legacy game for the Chiefs. If you miss the playoffs, right, in a team where your basically your whole team's healthy, and you miss the playoffs still, it's like, come on. And that's one of those things where like that Packers game is going to be a tough game because, as you said, right, right now the Packers are the 6th seed. They're 8-3-1. The Lions are the 8th seed. The Lions are on the outside looking in. They're 7-5. They're not even in the playoffs right now. So if you're the Packers, you have to keep winning. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. And the Packers, by the way, don't have an easy schedule either, because they have the Bears this week at home. Then they have the Broncos. Then they have the Bears again. Then they have the Ravens, and they finish against the Vikings. But you're talking about Bears, Broncos, Bears, Ravens. That's a tough 4-game stretch too. So they have to win 3 out of those 4 games. 2 of them being against the Bears, who have been playing incredible football this year. So it's really kind of unbelievable when you look at everything that everyone kind of has. There's so much at stake in all of these games. It just makes a huge difference. Yeah.
It's going to be a fun little playoff run down the stretch here. I'm trying to figure out right now I'm just trying to figure out how it works. If the Broncos and Patriots both lose a game and then end up tied, it would probably depend on who that loss is to for Denver. The nice thing for them is that if they lose to Green Bay and then end up tied with New England, they're definitely in a good spot because then they'll just win the conference record.
Correct. Yes.
They'll have a better record against AFC opponents.
Well, I think if they both lost the game, that you'd be in the same spot that you're in right now because they would have a better conference record, and they would still have the tiebreaker for common opponent, right?
Yeah.
So if they both lose one game, the Patriots have to finish with a better record. I believe that I read that the Broncos at this point have clinched any tiebreakers if they finish with the same record.
I guess my question here is this: if the Broncos lose to the Raiders as well, and then the Patriots lose to like the Ravens, we'll say.
That's a fair point.
Because you'll have the same record against AFC, I believe, same record against common opponents. Because your only loss in common opponents would be one Raiders loss.
Right.
I don't know what the tiebreaker is after that.
Do the Raiders get? So if you're 0-1 against the Raiders, and they're 1-1 against the Raiders, does that might still give them the advantage? I don't know. Again, this is one of those weird things. We're going down a rabbit hole.
It wouldn't be your record just against the Raiders. It'd be your record in all games total against common opponents. So it would be the same number of games, I believe, in that pool with one loss in it.
Why? Who else do the Patriots play as a common opponent?
Well, just because the way the schedule balances, like we played one AFC West team, they play one AFC East team. Like the way the schedule balances, I think it ends up with the same number of common opponents across the board for everyone.
Okay, I suppose that's a fair point. Yep, that's a fair point. So yeah, if they were, you're right. If they were to somehow lose to the Raiders this weekend,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the way that is division game comes into play here. I don't know. I will have to do more research on this, and we'll come back out of the bye with some answers here.
Yeah. So
let's do an ad break real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's do an ad break, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of talk maybe a little bit about the season, a little bit about some other stuff, and then we'll get out of here. This episode, of course, is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. And again, Prize Picks, this is what we're looking at, my friends, okay? So, get in there, right? There is a new feature alert. There are early payouts now on Prize Picks. If your lineup gets off to a hard start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the games even finish. It's pretty nice. You can certainly do that. And again, listen, we're heading to the playoffs right now, okay? We're heading to the fantasy playoffs. If your fantasy team sucks, that stinks, right? And some of my fantasy teams aren't good. Some of my fantasy teams are, but some of my fantasy teams aren't good. And you can still play every day on Prize Picks. And so get in on the action on Prize Picks. What you're going to do is download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Oh, I forgot. I have my lineup this week as well. I have it. I did it. I'm going to give it to you right now. I have T. Higgins for more than 2.5 receptions. I have Sam Darnold for more than 231.5 passing yards. And I have Tyler Algier for more than 28.5 rushing plus receiving yards. That's what I got this week. So hopefully you can follow me, go out there and run my lineup as well. We'll see what happens. But, I got to get on the right track with Prize Picks. So I've been doing all right this year, but we'll see what happens. So
I love it.
So anyways, also shout out to my guy, Gary Sourbuts, back in the chat. It's been a long time since we've seen him. So thanks for coming through. Nelson, we said hello to already. Goalie was here. And then, of course, Nikhil has been here as well, too. So we appreciate you guys, being here and chatting with us tonight. We appreciate that. So you got anything else? What else you want to talk about for this team or going into the bye week? I will say, for me, anytime I see any mic'd up stuff, I just love the way this team responds to each other, the way that this team roots each other on. I loved Kayshon Boutte with Stephon Diggs on the sideline. And Bootie's like, we got to go over and say good job to the offensive line. And they're like, yeah, let's go over. And they like go over and they're like, yeah, great job, guys. Like, keep going. Like, that's the type of stuff that you want to see. Like, when we're actively on the sideline thinking about, I got to go over and say good job to this guy. Like, let's go over. Let's go over and talk to these guys because this is great. That's the stuff I want to see. Like, and maybe, maybe he knows he's mic'd up and he's just like playing it. But I don't think that's the case. But like, I just love seeing that because that's the type of culture that Mike Vrabel is building here. And I just absolutely love it.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, one of the things for me, too, just watching, like that mic'd up video with Kayshon Boutte, it's just really cool to have, like, the full 4K, super high-quality highlights of football this good right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really used to getting this level of detail on this stuff until like the Super Bowl DVD comes out.
I know, it's true.
In like April or May or whatever. So like it's just pretty cool to get that right now. This team seems very locked in together. I think one of the big takeaways from Monday night is just how they responded to the Bengals game.
It's true.
They came out with high energy and played well. And it's not perfect. There's things to work on, but like you played a bad team, you're expected to beat them by a lot. You beat them by even more. You've earned the time off. And now it's just about like getting healthy. I really do think that's going to be one of your big things. And, I do have some concerns about the next couple games. This AFC playoff picture is wonky. New England can end up with like basically any seed right now. Except for probably like that 4 seed or the 3 seed. So probably not. Well, they could probably end up with a 3 seed.
They probably could.
With a real collapse.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy with where we are. And whenever, I don't know when we want to segue to this, but I feel like this might be a good opportunity to talk about like where we think the holes are with the team, where the pitfalls are in these next 2 games and for the playoffs, because like we're at that point with this team. And like, it's now we're not talking about, man, this team stinks at these things. It's, man, this team's like average at this thing and needs to get better, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one thing, let's get to that. Before we get to that, the one thing I want to say is that I loved in Mike Reese's he does his cleaning out his notebook every week, which I just love.
Those are must reads every time. And
his first one on there was Vrabel posed a question to his players this week and the coaching staff, by the way. What can you contribute to our identity? That's the question that he asked the players. And Christian Ellis, he said that he wanted their identity to be effort and finish, that's what he could contribute to their identity. And when you see that type of thing, that's like, I loved seeing that so much. And of course, Ellis has such a great game. And you're like, all right, we're pushing the right buttons. Mike Vrabel's over here pushing the right buttons and trying to get these guys to play and getting these guys motivated. And that's exactly what you're looking for. And so kudos to Vrabel and kudos to Ellis for stepping up and making those things happen. And, I love the way there are ways to motivate your team without talking down to them. There are ways to motivate your team without, saying you suck and you got to get better at this and you got to do that. And that's just such a perfect way to motivate the team because we're doing great. You're doing an awesome job. Everyone's crushing it. Okay, now what can you do to contribute to our identity? And Ellis took that to heart and played the best game of his Patriots career by far on Monday night. And that to me is kind of the proof in the pudding. You know what I mean? And I love to see that. So, yeah,
it's I don't know. The culture is real in New England.
Yes, it is. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Not what they're bad at. Again, I think you're right.
I do think there actually are things that they're kind of bad at here, but it's all like
you're right. Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And it's, I put this in the context of the fact that like the Patriots are the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, best record in the NFL, have won 10 straight games. We host the Bills coming out of the bye, and the last time I checked, The Bills are favored in that game.
Yep.
That is, the line. Oh, it shifted. I checked this Tuesday morning, and the Bills were favored by 1.5 in this one. Now the Patriots are favored by 1.5.
Wow.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's the fact that this game is a toss-up. I think shows the difference between the records of the teams and the perception. And I do think one of the big things in the AFC this year is like the difference between the quarterbacks and the teams.
Yes.
But like we get into these games, next 2 games you play are against teams that should be able to run the ball. The Bills do run the ball very well. The Ravens should on paper
theoretically
run the ball very well. New England's run defense, which started the year as one of the best in the league, over the last 4 games, it has suddenly become a real weakness.
Yeah.
And I think some of this is personnel and some of it is scheme.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And I think you're probably right that it's a little bit of both, right? Milton Williams out. Kyrus Tonga didn't play, of course, this week, was out early last week, so that certainly has something to do with it.
When your run defense splits with and without Tonga on the field are pretty massive, it's pretty high variance there. So you want Tonga out there. He's a great run defender. But I also wonder if part of that's like if Tonga is on the field, typically you're in a formation, I think, that's putting 8 guys in the box. When it's not Tonga on the field, you're probably in like nickel personnel, and you might have 2 safeties back. And that, like, this might actually not be a Tonga stat. This might be a really in the situations where you put Tonga out there, you're trying to defend the run, so you're better at it and you're less intentional about it when he's not out there.
Yeah,
might have been the Tampa game, one of the games I was watching back the tape. Like, there were some moments where I was watching a run defense and I was like, this kind of reminds me of like the Patriots teams we watched last year. Like, I remember the Jacksonville game in London where it was like we just kept getting gashed by some of the same things, and a lot of it was like
they ran the same play like 15 times in a row or something like that.
Well, I remember a lot of it being like they're going to run RPOs and they're going to run like to the weak side. And there were a lot of plays where like, okay, well, we're going to have 2 safeties back. It's like, all right, we have 2 safeties back. There's one less guy underneath. There's the space they needed for the RPO to hit. Or how many plays they had in that Jacksonville game where the Patriots had a safety and had rotated down, but they were going to play too high and the safety's running back at the snap to go defend. And that's the side that they're running to. So the guy who's supposed to be coming down into the box as a run defender is sprinting away from the line of scrimmage when the run hits. Yeah, I think there was a play or 2 like that against the Giants. So, like, how much of it is that? How much of it is teams picking up on your tendencies and kind of knowing? How much of it's intentional by the Patriots to say, hey, like, we're going to sacrifice some of the run defense because we want to be better defending the pass. The pass defense has looked a lot better the last couple of weeks.
It's true. Well, what's interesting is that what's funny about, that is that the Patriots had gone the entire year without giving up a 50-yard rusher. You play Tampa. Sean Tucker is the first guy to do it. And now they've given up a 50-yard rusher in every game since, right? So that's 4 straight games. They've given up a guy, sometimes multiple times. The Jets, it was 2 guys over 50 yards. And someone, I think Chase Brown, right, had 100 yards. Chase Brown cracked 100 against them. Yeah, he did. So, you've given up a 100-yard rusher and you've given up 50-yard rushers in 4 games, one of the games with 2 50-yard rushers. So, you're definitely giving up more yards on the ground. To your point, they have been pretty good against the pass. And so maybe it's a little bit of a give and take. We're going to stop the pass. We're going to focus on stopping the pass more than we are stopping the run. And then our run defense takes a hit for that, but our pass defense is significantly better because of it. And so, it's a trade-off, right? And so, I don't know how I feel about that trade-off, but because in the playoffs, you're going to have to stop the run, right? Now, the hope is in the playoffs, you have Milton Williams back, you have Christian Barmore healthy, you have Kyrus Tonga that's going to go in. I think Joshua Farmer, was a healthy scratch for a few weeks. Or maybe just
1 week. I
think just 1 week. I thought he played well. He had a few nice reps on Monday night. I think you've gotten a good amount out of Corey Durden. 55. What the hell's 55's name?
Eric Gregory.
Eric Gregory. I think he's played pretty well at times. And so, you have some depth there on the defensive line, and you look at it and say, okay, like I feel better about this run defense as we get further into the season. But again, you still gotta win. You still got 4 more games left, so you got to win a few of those. So let's see what they can do in the next 4 games, and you hope that they can figure that out.
Well, I think that this Bills game, this Bills, they want to run the football. They're good at it. You
Yeah.
did a good job against it in the first game. But let's remember that first meeting came down to the wire. They came down to the last possession. It was a close game where, a red zone turnover and a couple fumbles really end up working out your way in
Yep.
it. Obviously, you have some turnovers too. So 1 or 2 turnovers for me. I don't remember. But you get a little bit of luck in the turnover department and you win a close game. If you repeat that performance, you can still lose that even though it's at home. And, Josh Allen's very good at what he does. And, you're losing Milton Williams, who was great for you in that game. So you're going to have to find a way to defend the run in that one. And that's where it's like, I'd love to see them make a statement coming out and get back to that. Now,
Yes.
obviously, when I think the balance you have to find here is like defending the run versus defending Josh Allen. That's what makes this Bills offense so good and so tough to defend. It's like, all right, if you want to sell out to stop the run, Josh Allen will probably find a way to beat you, even though he's not the best receiver in the core.
Yeah. By the way, the Patriots did have 1 turnover. They had Ramondre fumbled the play
Right
after Josh Allen. Didn't really he's credited with a fumble, but it's really an aborted snap more than it is anything else.
Yeah, and that was the play where Ramondre had caught it on like a check down and got the first down or something and then fumbled. It was brutal.
Yeah.
That was a tough one. But you win the turnover battle in that one, and it still comes down to the wire. So even though you're at home, this Bills game is going to be very tight. They have dropped some ugly games, but we know that this is an inconsistent group, and Allen can be an inconsistent quarterback. We also know he's a quarterback who gets up for big moments. So I think you throw out the record with Buffalo.
Well, and not just that, but they're going to be a hungry team. You look at the Bills, and they're a team that is on the cusp. They're on the cusp of being out of the playoffs.
Yeah,
right? I mean, this is
a 3-way tie for 5, 6, and 7 in the wild card right now.
Right, and right behind them is the Texans. And if the Texans win on Sunday night against the Chiefs, it doesn't necessarily knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs, but it goes pretty far to knocking the Chiefs out of the playoffs. The Texans are 8-5.
And the Texans have the tiebreaker on Buffalo.
Yes.
With the head-to-head win.
Right.
And worth noting here from the Kansas City perspective real quick, they have head-to-head loss already to the Chargers. They still play again this season. They have a head-to-head loss to the Bills. They have a head-to-head loss to the Texans. They have a head-to-head loss to the Jaguars. So depending, the tiebreakers do not work out for Kansas City.
No. And of course, if they beat the Texans, then that changes things. But they still have they still don't have the tiebreaker over anyone, except now they'd have it over the Texans, which obviously makes a big difference.
Yeah. By the way, I looked further into the tiebreakers while you're doing your ad read with New England and Denver.
Yeah.
And basically so we have the tiebreakers right. It's head-to-head, then conference record. So if there's a scenario where they could be tied for both of those, it goes to common games. There are 6 common games between these opponents. Both play the Titans, the Bengals, and the Giants, and then 3 games each between the Jets and the Raiders. So it's possible for them to tie on that if Patriots beat the Jets and the Broncos lose to the Raiders.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the next tiebreaker is strength of victory, which is just strength of schedule in the games you won.
Right.
And because
that obviously goes to the Broncos.
When you're in a tough spot here because if they lose the game to the Raiders in this scenario, that means they're probably winning all of the other ones. And it's like, all right, well, you're going to beat 4 playoff teams. That juices the numbers. And I don't think they're very similar for strength of victory right now. So if Denver wins all of those, I think that's just it. They're going to end up having that tiebreaker. So
right.
I think unless every team that they played,
but even if they did, it seems unlikely.
So it seems like a salient point here that Patriots do not control their destiny, and then we'll just say they're not going to win a tiebreaker with Denver.
Yeah.
I think given the fact that you're down your left tackle and your top defensive tackle, you should probably assume you're going to lose one down the stretch here, even if you play well, because you play tough teams in tough situations and big moments. So I think in New England, we got to be rooting for Denver to lose twice. That's got to be the mantra. And I think a bye week helps you a ton because we'll see when Will Campbell comes back. But like, I don't know if he's going to be back in the regular season. You might have to wait for the playoffs, and giving him an extra week there, I think, would be very helpful.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
So that's where I think one of the other things, Vidarian Lowe, great game.
Yes. So before we get to Vidarian Lowe, this question just came through. I think it's how legitimate do you feel Denver is as a threat if the Patriots meet them in the playoffs? I'll let you start, Matt, because I have my own thoughts on this.
I mean, I think location matters a lot here, but very real threat. This is Sean Payton is a great coach, and Bo Nix is not like a great quarterback or anything, but I think he gets the people who value him only for the wins Denver has overrate him. But then I think the discussion to kind of counterbalance that goes too far in the other direction. He's a quarterback who, like, he's athletic. He can make a lot of throws. His decision-making just kind of gets questionable at times as long as you harness what he's doing and put it in a system. Right. He plays well. So, like, he can absolutely win a playoff game. And then you look at the other side of the ball here. And that defense, I mean, it's like a perfect defense that Denver has.
Yeah.
They have two incredibly talented edge rushers who I think for New England in particular are a nightmare matchup. It's two elite speed rushers who have the best jumps in football. They get off the line of scrimmage like crazy. I think that is something that could really wreck you. And they play stickier man coverage than like anyone else.
Pretty much anyone. Yeah.
And like if there's a weakness for Denver, it's their run defense. I don't think New England can take advantage of that. The team that we've seen all year.
Historically, at least what we've seen from them this season, they can't.
Yeah. And like, all right, if they put PS2 on Stephon Diggs,
right,
like you might score on them, but like with how bad the New England's red zone offense has been too, this might be, you might play them and like this is a game, even if it's in New England, it might be the kind of game that you're gonna lose like 13-9.
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely worrisome for sure. And again, I think what it comes down to for me is that it's concerning in the fact that your red zone offense, as you said, is horrendous. Patriots red zone offense is terrible. When we talk about things that they're not good at, they're just not good at executing near the goal line. They're just not. That's with their top O-line unit, right? They're not good at it. So
we are, for some numbers to that, they're 24th in red zone offense right now. And specifically, this is from Evan Lazar, is upon further review. They are 30th in rushing success rate in the red zone.
It's really bad. It's really bad. When they're scoring in the red zone, it's fades to the back of the end zone. I mean, like, that's just.
When if you can't run, you're not going to be able to score in the red area. Like you're just not, because like if you can open up the field when you're between the 20s on these situations, and even if you can't run the ball, you can find ways to move it, especially with a quarterback like May.
Right.
There's just so little space in the red zone that defenses can cover everything. So if there's no threat of the run, there's just no space.
Right.
Consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not what you're looking for from the Patriots, unfortunately. And so that's definitely a problem. So, I think that's an issue. And if it's in Denver, I think the Broncos would and should be favored in that game because, you look at what happened in 2015 when the Patriots were objectively a better football team than Denver. But unfortunately, you have to look at it and say, this is a situation where we have to go to a silent count because it's so loud. These guys get a great jump on every play. And, then you're worried about Yeah, this is bad. So anyway, so that's the concern that I have. It's the same thing that happened in 2015. I don't want to see it happen again this year. So you got to try to get that one seed. Listen, honestly though, if you lose the AFC Championship game in Denver, like that's a successful season for me. You know what I mean? Like it's a successful
If you
season for
lose,
me, even if you lose in the first round of the playoffs.
and if you lose at home to Denver too, like I think what do we say that travels? It's in the playoffs. Like it's defense, it's running, and they do both of those things well.
Right.
I think Denver has kind of gotten overlooked here just because like they don't have the quarterback, and I think Bo Nix is fine. I think he's probably like the 14th best quarterback, like the 16th best quarterback, something in that range. Depending on how you want to rank things out. So he'll be one of the worst quarterbacks in the playoffs, but with that team, it's a very good team. So,
but here's what's crazy about Denver, and this is why people don't talk about Denver the way they talk about the Patriots and they talk about other people. They've won, just like the Patriots, they've won 10 straight games.
Yep.
Their win differential, 1 point, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 20 points over the Cowboys, 1 point, 2 points.
Over the Giants.
Yep. 2 points over the Jets, 4 points over the Eagles, and then they crushed the Bengals.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia. So it's not that, but like 1 point over the Commanders in overtime, 3 points over the Chiefs, fine. 3 points over the Raiders, 3 points over the Texans, 1 point over the Giants, 2 points over the Jets. It's like they're playing these bad teams and they're playing them close.
Yeah.
So, that's part of the issue. At least for people that, like the Broncos, that's why the Broncos aren't being talked about the way that other teams are. Yeah, they've won 10 in a row, but it hasn't always looked pretty. It doesn't have to look pretty, though, because, again, that's going to trap defense, and the run game travels in the playoffs. And if they can do both of those things, they have a good chance of winning against anyone they play.
Well, and they're also like, I think that what's tough to evaluate with them. Like, is this a Vikings situation from a couple of years ago where they just like happen to win a bunch of close games with a mediocre quarterback, and you're going to get to the playoffs and it's all going to fall apart?
Right.
Which is also entirely possible.
Yeah.
I just like Denver. Like part of it is that their defense is really good, so there's a lot of low scoring games, and then also Bo Nix seems to be kind of at his best when things are spread out and like it's 2-minute offense and it's no huddle. So they have a bunch of games where they've gotten down big, and then in the fourth quarter, he just erupts because that's when, in some ways, he's at his best.
Yeah.
And which is dangerous to play against because you never really feel like they're put away.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know. There's a Denver to me is a team that can absolutely win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Especially if the playoffs have to go through Denver.
Yes. What I would love to see is in the first round of the playoffs, I'd love to see Houston at Denver. That would be an awesome game. 2 fantastic defenses going at it. I think that would be a dope game to watch. So
over under on that one is going to be like 13.5.
Yeah, literally the over under is like 20. 21.5, and I'm taking the under probably. Like it's crazy. So but yeah.
Well, the way the playoffs are shaping up too, like for the likely matchups, it kind of feels like this 6-3 game is going to end up being an AFC South battle. That's how it seems to play out a lot of the ways. When 2 of the teams from that division might get 3 teams in somehow. The 4-5 game seems likely to be Bills at Ravens, or if the Patriots somehow don't win the division, Patriots at Ravens, or you can throw Steelers or Bengals in there if you like. But AFC East loser at AFC North winner is probably your 5-4. And then 7-2 is just probably New England or Denver at the top, and then whoever slips in at the end here. Any of the AFC South teams could be that 7 seed. The Chargers can be that 7 seed. The Chiefs can be. I mean, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, this game was trending to be like the Cowboys got every call. No, just turns out that the refs are just insanely bad at doing their job. There was just like an obvious defensive pass interference at the goal line against the Lions,
OPI.
and they called it OPI instead of DPI. I was like, what are you? How could you ever call that offensive pass interference? It's insane. It's number one, should have been defensive pass interference. Number two, it wasn't even close to offensive. It's just absolutely insane. The refs once again prove that they have absolutely no idea what the hell they're doing on all sides. It's crazy.
I generally feel like a lot of the ref scrutiny these days is like a little bit of the criticism ends up being a recency bias, because like when we were growing up, like 2004, if a bad call happens in a game, I'm probably never going to know that ever happens. The only people people in that market who watched that game. You don't have Red Zone, you don't have Twitter and Reddit that's sending these clips.
It's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
So, like, you have every bad call that happens across every game, every week put in front of you now in a way that has never happened before. And I suspect that generally the quality of officiating now is significantly better than it was 20 years ago. It's just that the discourse around it has gotten a lot
it's
worse.
very true. You do see all the clips.
With that caveat, this year feels bad.
This year, I mean, they missed an offsides. 2 guys were in the neutral zone. It was obvious. And so I'm thinking, it's a free play, and he basically threw it away. And I was like, it's a first down, and they're like, oh yeah, turn. And I'm like, what? Why are they punting? What's going on? It was insane.
Well, I will say, like, one of the biggest issues I think with this is just that, like, because fans have all of these high quality views of what happens, and the refs don't. It's an impossible gig for them. You're held to the standard of absolute perfection without ever getting a call wrong. When a high number of these calls, there's going to be a degree of subjectivity to it. And like, you just can't find a consistent baseline. That will never happen. It can't. And you're held to that standard when you have also the worst view of all of the people who are judging you on it. And I think that the fix for this, I've got to keep arguing, you need video officials to help them out. I think the refs are genuinely trying their best, and the fact that this is what that looks like means that they need more help to get the job done.
Yes. You should be able to review everything. It's just like on Sunday Night Football in the Broncos game, right? Mariota rushes for basically for a first down, I think, and I'm not even sure if it was a first down, to be very honest with you, but I think it was for a first down. But either way, Mariota rushes for close to a first down.
You mean Mariota?
Sorry, yes, Mariota rushes for, which is insane, for what looks like a first down. Okay. And then they go back and review it. And they're like, oh, his knee was down. The correct call. Except he was very clearly tripped on the play. But you can't go back and call the tripping penalty, and it's like, well, that's stupid. Everyone can see it. You reviewed the play, and it's like that's the type of stuff where you're like, man, just why can't we review that? That's got to be that's just frustrating.
Well, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, this is where expedited review I think has been awesome and should be expanded. It shouldn't take a challenge. You should just have people watching this in live time who can buzz down and say, hey, this happened, we're going to change something, or hey, we have to take another look at this, we're going to take 15 seconds. Give us a sec, we're going to let you. I will say there are some moments where I watch games and I'm like, was this better before challenges and replays and reviews existed? Like, was the product better when we just accepted that like refs are going to make mistakes sometimes and that's part of the game and we're just going to live with it and go on? No. Like, probably not, but then sometimes with like the amount that we analyze some of these small details that probably don't matter at all, and how arbitrary it is between what we can look at and what we can't. I'm like, from an entertainment perspective, I don't know if we're doing our best here.
That is a very fair point. So
that is also one of the funny things. One of my old TV shows I like to watch is like a comfort show. Is The West Wing, and there's a great like bit in it, which is like a throwaway thing. Like guys are just like talking, and one of the guys is complaining at the time about how they're going to allow replays into football. This is from like 20, 25 years ago, and it's just like it's funny to hear people being like, "Man, we shouldn't be able to review anything." and that wasn't that long ago. This was it was a controversial subject.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. It's just kind of funny to think about that, So,
this Dallas defense really did return to being horrendous pretty quickly here, didn't they?
well, yes, they sure did. Jahmyr Gibbs with a heck of a game tonight. Heck of a game tonight for Jahmyr Gibbs. It was a great play, by the way. A really solid play to run a play action fake there. Nobody saw that coming. I certainly didn't see it coming. And to hit Amon-Ra across the middle there was pretty awesome by them. And it's what the Lions do. It's what the Lions do.
Good aggressive play. Play to win.
Yep.
Side note, I want to go back to the red zone offense thing for New England for 1 second.
Yeah.
This was kind of an idea I have been toying around with in my head for a while, and then Evan Lazar put it just the right way in this piece. I think one of the things that could unlock the red zone offense a little bit, make things a little bit easier, QB run game, getting Drake May involved.
Yes.
Now, obviously, you want to be careful because you don't want to get him hurt. And I don't think you're not going to be running things. It's not such a main part of the offense. It's like if you do this, it's going to be some kind of misdirection. So you don't want to tip your hand on it before you have to. But that's one of those things where I wonder if it's like, all right, well, this is a hat and t-shirt game, home against the Bills, coming out of the bye. Do you consider that if we get into the red zone in this one, this is where we show it? Where we're going to run read option, or we're going to run speed option, or we're going to go get down to the 2-yard line, and we're going to go 5 wide with May in the shotgun and call QB draw, or QB power, things like that.
Right.
I do wonder if they have kind of kept that change up because they haven't needed it yet, and they're going to wait for bigger moments to be selective about when they want to use him in that way. He's athletic enough to do it, smart enough player to do it. And I think that was one of the things that we expected from him coming out of college. It is kind of funny. I think looking at what May was going to be as a prospect, ignoring landing spot coming out of the draft, my thinking was it was going to be a little bit like what we've seen with Jackson Dart, where there's going to be a lot of QB run game and not as much as with Dart, but decent amount of QB run game and RPOs and that kind of stuff, things that he knows to make things easy as we build into what he's going to be. But last year was the West Coast offense, that scheme is basically all they did. And then this year, he has gotten so smart so fast that they have been able to entirely bypass the training wheels, and they haven't so I think was okay. These are things we know he can do, so he can play, so that then he can be in the situations to learn the other things. Well, he's just doing the other things well, so they haven't needed any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So, all right, let's get the heck out of here. But before we do, also Connor Wiley says still believes the Patriots win the Super Bowl. I like that. I love that. But before we do, we do have to mention Vidarian Lowe, and Ben Brown both stepped up and played well on Monday night. I was here by myself on Thursday night last week. Vidarian Lowe was getting trashed left and right by the entire comment section. Vidarian Lowe is terrible, and he's this and he's that. And I'm like, guys, he's not that bad. He's not great, but he's not that bad. And he came in and played well on Monday night. Again, wasn't perfect, but him and Ben Brown played pretty well on Monday night. And if you can get that type of performance from the two of them on a consistent basis, that's good enough to keep you afloat, to potentially even keep the number 1 seed, right? Depending on what happens with the Broncos. But, this is the type of thing for the Patriots that you look at it and say, yep, the Patriots can get there, right, with these guys. And then you just hope that you have, Will Campbell and Jared Wilson back. Jared Wilson might be back next week, but for the Bills game. But you hope that you have Jared Wilson and Vidarian Lowe back, and we'll see what happens. But that's my hope, at least, that we can get those guys back to the playoffs, and then we're ready to go, and then we're moving with those guys. But impressive job by the offensive line, and a lot of credit has to go to Doug Marrone and the coaches over there, because they're coaching those guys up. They're coaching them up, and they're playing well.
Well, and it helps that Lowe is healthy playing this time. That makes life
Yep.
easier for him. And
Sure does.
Ben Brown, I think, is like that's fine in a backup.
Yeah,
That's
right.
you're in a good spot. And I think like Ben Brown, if Ben Brown is going to be your new like just backup center, backup guard, he's going to fill both those roles for you. You're probably in a good spot for the next couple of years. That's a good band-aid to have.
Yeah.
Now the flip side of this here, like when it comes to their weaknesses, it's like, all right, those guys are not like we think they can be a band-aid.
Correct.
But how long can they hold the wound? How long can they do it against good teams? Same for the defensive line with Landry banged up right now and playing through it. No Milton Williams and Kyrus Tonga. We'll see when he comes back. And then the fact that, like, all right, you have no real playmakers at safety, which I think has been an issue for you. And, like, you haven't been able to have a good run defense, a good pass defense really at the same time for a lot of the season. Your run game has been very inconsistent. You haven't been able to score in the red zone. Is there, like, I think these next two games that you play, you have to do enough to prevent these from being fatal flaws against good teams. I think the Bills better than the Ravens right now. This Ravens team just like I never want to count out Lamar Jackson, and also he does not look like Lamar Jackson. These do not look like the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
So, but they can still beat you. You just have to do enough with each of these things that none of them are like a fatal flaw, so that you're not, going into week 17 being like, shoot, we lost each of these last two games by one score, and now we need to win the next two, and this is going to come down to the wire.
Right. We need to win the next two, basically to win the division, right? And so, yeah, I agree with you. So
yeah,
but we'll see.
We're
gonna get into all that next week. We'll talk about the Bills game next week. Connor thinks the Patriots are gonna beat the Bills 31-17. So I like your optimism, Connor. I think that's great. I don't personally see it that way, but hey, I'll take it.
The last time the Bills came into Gillette in a situation kind of like this, which is that 2021 season week 16, they did not punt.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
That was the stretch where it was consecutive games where they did not punt against New England. So, we know Josh Allen can turn it up to that level. He doesn't have the same receivers anymore that he had then. We have that receiver now in Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Like, he is a freak, and we have our own freak, but, like, that kind of makes it even.
Well, and that's the thing. And again, the Patriots would like the victory. It's an important victory for the Patriots. The Bills absolutely 100% need the victory. So they're in a different spot than the Patriots are in, right? And they're a team that, has, if they've been listening to those guys and those, and the people along, the people in the media that say they suck and they're no good and they're this and they're that and so on and so forth. Like, yeah, no, we want to win. We need to win to get those things. So, that's one of those things for me. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and we'll talk about that next week. We'll dive into that Bills game, but
when they still have that Bengals game to play too. So we'll see. With how they look in that one, what the vibes are in Buffalo, what their sense of desperation is.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see. But anyways, thanks for coming in, people. We appreciate you guys. We're gonna be back next week talking with you. I don't think we're gonna do a show on Sunday night. That might change, but I don't think we're gonna do a show Sunday night. We'll take the weekend off for everyone. Something happens, maybe if some things happen crazy or whatever, maybe we'll get on and do a quick show or something. But my anticipation will be back with you 1 week from tonight, talking about the Patriots versus Bills, coming out of the bye. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate you. Be good to each other and go Pats.